Cheers, man.
Cheers, man. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me.
When I think of you and Dub Wubz and everything, you've seen and stuff. I think in COVID, it's like one of the hardest. When I think about you, it's like one of the hardest working guys during COVID. There's a few people out there like Bow and Together Agency doing good things as well.
Massive things, yeah.
But I think everything you've been doing has been awesome, man.
Yeah, cheers, bro. Yeah.
Get it close. Get it nice and close.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. I've kind of been taking advantage of this like whole COVID situation, for lack of better terms, just because I literally just have had nothing to do. I've just been bored. Like, it's only so much gaming and Netflix that you can actually go through before you realize that it gets a bit old pretty fast. So I just realized that the whole like Dub Wubz and running a label is just an idea I've always had. Like, we all have those little ideas, and I was saying,
well, that's what I was going to say. How did the idea come about? Like, for it, you've always had the idea and wanted to do it, or?
For the most part, yeah. Like, I've always had the idea of wanting to run a label. Possibly, we'll focus on distribution and whatnot, but inevitably end up hopefully in like artist management and all that, and actually even like touring and events and stuff. But it was just the idea got spawned after I went to uni and did not complete a music business diploma. And so doing that, I learned, how the industry works, like inside and out, how labels work, licenses work, tours work, synchronization licensing, all that type of stuff. And it was kind of from that point through my music career that I was like, hey, like I have the knowledge to be able to do this. Why don't I do it? It just took probably 4 years before I decided to actually do something with it.
And that's the thing, man. Like, a lot of the times you start a degree or something and you learn all you need to learn. Like you already learn what you need to learn in whatever period it is. And it's like a lot of the stuff you can learn on the job. And I dare say you've probably learnt more on the job since starting it. Then, it's great to have that base. But have you found that when you sort of actually start it, there's things that come up that you're like, oh, that's a good little learning experience?
Yeah, so much. Like even just to, from little things like even time management skills and, the things I've learned are actually like across the board, from life skills to actually running a label to, weird little niche things about like marketing and promo, just from testing and figuring out like what works and what doesn't work. It's definitely something that actually makes the journey a lot more exciting, because like if you're not constantly learning, like then what's the point really? I've found it quite enjoyable through the process. Like, even when I run into different walls, I guess. Like I find myself, afterwards I beat myself up for a little bit, and then I kind of come back and look at it in a new light, and I'm like, oh, well, I didn't need to beat myself up, and I could have gone through with this. I probably, I'll just do this instead next time. And
so you learn from it.
Exactly.
It's not like that. And when you can do that, it's not a bad experience then. It's like, it's actually a sort of good thing, because you're like, oh, cool, now I know next time's going to be better.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think that's something that when you're doing, something like you're doing, or anything that's kind of a bit entrepreneurial, you sort of have to be willing to make mistakes in that, and just go, all right, cool, next time, it's not a negative thing that we made this mistake.
No,
it's exactly a good thing, because now we know next time what we got to do.
Exactly. Know that these are possible contingencies and things to look out for, and
I think handle the situation. That's a really a really important thing, I think with what you're doing, and anyone doing those kind of things. You got to be willing to make the mistakes and learn from them, and it's the same with DJing, music production. It's all of it, So I think that's important.
Playing sport even like
Sport. Yeah. Or, you do something in some sport, you get smashed. I'm not going to do that again. Like, if you do, you're a bit of an idiot. You know?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That tactic did not work as well as planned.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll work next week.
Yeah.
No.
And then someone like does it one time and it works, and you're like, I knew it'd work. Like, it's like, maybe.
That bastard.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I really love, that it's been going so well for you as well. Like, I've seen it grow from, when did you actually start? Like, when did you start the work on it? When did you go, all right, let's do this thing? How long have you been sort of, since you actually went, because you had the idea for a while, but when did you go, all right, let's do this? Like, what do we need to do?
It would have been, about March or probably even April. So not even that long ago, really. Yeah. But it was probably about April. I kind of had, I'd already had the idea started. It was already kind of going. I think it was under a different name prior as well. Yeah. And then I just decided, like, I got my mate on, Matt Parker, Schizoid, and basically, like, he had the same passion. He wanted to run a label, and I kind of teamed up with him more or less and was just like, hey, like, let's do it together. Two minds are better than one. Yeah. Let's get this going. So from April, we rebranded Dub Wubz from, I think it was like called Boss Bass or something. Yeah. And started putting in all that time, all that effort. We had like weekly meetings where we'd catch up and, have a few beers and just, go over, plans and try to get everything going and sorted. But
that's always a good way to get the creative juices flowing. Hey, just like 1 or 2 beers.
Yeah.
Anymore, like, you can go too far and then you start, and then it's like, you're just like, that's, you look at like what you come up with the next day if you've written it down, you're like, oh man, those last few ideas were pretty rubbish. But 1 or 2 beers is really, is a great way, I think, to, get the juices flowing. And I'm not the only one who says this, because I've got a podcast called A Beer With. I have read a few marketing books and different, audio books about entrepreneurship and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And that even in one of them, they're like, there's value to 1 or 2 beers, but not 10 beers.
Not too many. Yeah.
Yeah. You can definitely take it too far. But I think that's great as well to have someone there to bounce ideas off and stuff as well. Like you said, like, it's almost like you almost get each other motivated, because you come up with like an idea and maybe it doesn't end up being an idea you use, but maybe it sparks an idea in Matt.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, but we could do this. And then, and that comes up with something you wouldn't have come up with before.
Starts breaking down these ideas and turning them into newer, better ideas and so forth. Yeah. We definitely like motivated each other a ton. And, when we have our bad weeks, one of us will message the other and like, we won't know we're having a bad week or something, but we'll just like be like, have you done this yet or something? Or, notice that, you haven't done this yet. So we kind of catch each other up on what we're doing and
stay accountable, because someone else is there. The word. You can't if it's just you, you can just sort of go, oh no, I'll just do it next week. Like, we'll change the deadline. We'll make it next week instead of this week. I got to get it done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're creating some bad, like, kind of routines for yourself and habits, which is not the best. So it's nice having that and like having that general support as well from a good friend. Yeah. So I'm very thankful to have Matt on my team. So
and I think it's great, because apart from sharing the workload and stuff like that, bringing more eyes to it, because you've got different networks of people, different connections you can call on. So that's always good when someone brings different things to the table, or different people they know or something, or different skills even is great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So give everyone an idea about the music that you guys are like. Give us your little label pitch. The music, the culture, like everything, whatever you would describe it as. If someone said to you, didn't know what's Dub Wubz Promotions, like, what is it?
Well, we're basically just an international music publishing label, specified on bringing helping artists basically expand their fan base through just natural organic promotion, helping like. Although it's through our, like, we get them to release through us, and then we promote that track. But it's overall just a kind of like a promotional support network for the bass industry.
Yeah.
So for bass artists, for dubstep, trying to expand into like bit of like trap and drum and bass as well. But yeah, we just try to help expand artists and their not only their fan bases but their knowledge within the industry.
Yeah.
Like there's so many artists that I've met out there who really have a very minimal understanding of the actual industry and, you know, contracts, this, that, the other. I know plenty of artists who have released songs with these labels and never signed contracts. And then now like the labels, you know, posting their music up on, like distributing it and putting it up on Spotify and Beatport, etc. And they're like, oh, well, I don't know. Like I'm meant to be getting paid for it, but I don't know where that money is. I haven't been paid it yet. Like, and it's a bit sketchy because there is no contract and whatnot. So, so I just like take it upon myself a little bit to, you know, when I'm running artists through our releases, I actually kind of go through like a process with them where I'm telling them how it all works.
Explaining it.
Yeah. So, I've gotten a lot of like feedback and compliments in the sense for that service, for, you know, being kind of a little bit more realistic with them and, you know, being on the same level as them.
Yeah. It's like, look, you're not going to get 2 million plays on this, you know, or whatever, depending on the artist or whatever. But it's like, you know, be realistic with it. But it sounds like it's almost like you're almost like promotions and like, you know, releasing, you know, music and distribution, but also like artist development, almost like, you know, explaining, you know, teaching them and guiding them through the process of releasing and things like that, so that they have more of a knowledge when they, you know, go to do other stuff. You know,
they'll be able to better handle themselves in those situations.
They're more developed because they've learned all the techniques and the different things. So that when they go and they get a massive, you know, contract with some huge label, they know what to look out for and stuff.
Exactly.
Without necessarily having a manager to do it. Like they actually sort of know.
Even
if you do get a manager, you know if the manager's doing things in your best interest,
doing things right or not.
Bit about it.
Exactly. Yeah, I've heard some funny stories in the industry there. Just like that's why I'd love to get into artist management and that as well, just because you know, like besides learning it in the diploma of music business that I did, it just seems like such a like supportive job. Like I'd love to just be, you know, live the rest of my life working within the industry and just be set, and like I'd be happy with that, you know. And partially that's why I started Dub Wubz as well, was because I realized that, you know, along my own journeys as an artist, like I have all this information that I could actually use to help, you know, everyone else who's in the same boat that I'm in. So why, you know, sail alone when I, you know, can sail with them and, you know, provide, you know, my knowledge basically onto them. And, you know, like it's really like there's not really like anything in return, because like most of the, you know, distribution and streaming doesn't bring the label any real revenue. And even like, you know, after doing like a 2-year plan and
the
stuff,
sales aren't what they used to be. No one's buying a lot of music.
No, exactly.
You know, even DJs these days, like, you know, most of the stuff is on promo. Like if it's, you know, if it's some,
it's a lot of free download stuff, like
free downloads, promo, like lists and stuff, you know. So
well, they've gotten the tracks through, you know, like actually supporting someone, so that they've given them, you know, a free sample, well, not sample pack, but like a pack of songs. That happens seemingly a lot in dubstep,
like the edits or things like that, things like they've done. They're dub plates.
Took me ages to like figure out what like that word
like, I got educated by Waster. Asked him what dub plates were on the podcast. But yeah, that's really cool, man. You know, passing on that information to the younger guys and stuff, and really that's what that sort of, you know, artist management, like you said, you'd love to get into that and do that. That's a great way to help artists and stuff, you know, and to help support the scene. And, you know, a lot of the times in the music industry, you do make your own job. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the industry, it's not like you work for someone in a lot of cases. It's you, sole trader, you come up with what it is. And, you know, maybe at the moment, like you said, it's not a huge revenue, but maybe you manage, or you help develop these artists and stuff, and then they sort of get to a bigger level or something. They say, oh, will you manage? That's where sometimes it can. I think sometimes we do stuff for free in the music industry, and we know that there could be something that comes from it.
Yeah,
we don't know what. No. Until it happens, but you're like, I know that this is
swimming
cool,
in the dark.
I know what I'm doing is cool and it's helping people, and I've got value there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think in the end, people will see that, and I think that's something in the music industry that's been like that for a long time. You have to pay your dues. They always, people always talk about, in the industry. So it's, I think, while now it's maybe not, making revenue and stuff, and it's not something that's, with distribution and all that kind of stuff with labels, it's not a huge thing, but down the track, you never know what the next thing might be.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we already got I'm already looking into all these services that we can start providing. That's not just distribution services, basically.
Yeah.
So and that's from general. I want to get onto doing little one-on-one meetings where I go over actually what we or promotional help.
Just hold up 1 second.
Yep.
That looks like it stopped recording audio. I don't know why.
Beautiful.
All right, we almost had disaster, but we sorted it out. I don't really know when the conversation stopped recording. If it did, it might have recorded it. Who knows? We'll find out later. But we'll talk about Dub Wubz and that a bit later again. We'll touch back on it. But maybe let's talk about how you started in the music industry, DJing and things like that. How did you first get into dance music, DJing, and and everything, all the music you're into now?
All right, yeah, no, easy. So it really would have started I played a whole bunch of instruments as a kid and whatnot, which kind of was the first birthing of my actual interest in music.
Music in general.
Yeah, exactly. And
what did you play then?
I started with violin.
Yeah.
Then moved on to keyboard.
Yep.
And I remember as a kid, I got really mad at my dad one day because I wanted to learn piano, and he bought me a keyboard, and I was like, "This isn't a piano.
It's not a piano. It's not the same.
It's a completely different instrument."
Yeah.
But no, yeah, and got into keyboard for a little bit, and then did bass guitar in school for a little bit, and then started learning guitar on my own for a little bit. I never got too complex into any of it, just kind of knew basic theory, and then just learning how the instrument actually worked. Guitars I don't understand properly. They confuse me, just the way you press on them and whatnot. But I ended up through that kind of initial taster in music through my youth, when I actually moved out of home, got kicked out of home at 16, I ended up actually going to an adult learning education, learning center, to finish my year 12.
Yep.
And in doing that, they actually had a music studio there.
Yeah.
Their music teacher was Samsonite from the Optimen, which is an old Australian hip hop group.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
They in Hilltop Hoods, Rattle the Keys to the Kingdom.
Okay.
They shout out Optimen.
Okay, yeah.
And so I had this first-hand experience actually learning, how to use Ableton, how to actually, just make general beats.
Yeah.
Kind of
an introduction sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Johnny, who owns the studio with us, he does that kind of teaching at a youth, a YMCA sort of thing.
Yeah, nice.
For, people doing a similar thing, and then he does the music program there.
Yeah.
So that's,
I promote that stuff. Anyone who's doing, teaching music for a kind of, youth center or some form of learning center, I just have so much heart for that, because that's something I really want to get involved in my kind of future, and and inevitably in retirement, I'd love to be able to set up a kind of music school for youth in third and second world countries type thing. Really just however I can help, and that's an idea I have. But
so did that help you a lot, having that as a bit of an outlet, when you were doing that? Is that something that you you really, it made it sort of more fun to go and do the other stuff, because you're the end, you're I get to go into the studio.
Yeah, exactly. It was funny because I even at this adult learning center, I wasn't the best like student. Like I wasn't really completing my classes. I wasn't doing my English and maths like I should have been. And so I ended up basically, going to school mainly for the use of the studio.
Yeah.
And so I'd be going in there and, basically sit in the studio all day. Like I'd be in there all day, and everyone who I was friends with at that school would know that, if you want to find guys, he's in the studio. Yeah. But it was a great time. Like learn a lot of things. It kept me out of a lot of trouble at the point. So but yeah, that was kind of what lent me into the industry at like the very first level. And I mean, at that point, I was trying to be a hip hop artist. Like,
so I was going to say, what kind of music were you into? You were like writing hip hop beats and stuff like that.
I was listening to like Tech Nine and Hobson and this, Yonkers. What am I talking about? Tyler the Creator. And I was very much like, I wanted to go down that path. And after a few years, some bad relationships, etc., I ended up pulling myself like off that path. And I kind of ended up doing nothing for quite a while.
So were you actually wanting to, sorry to interrupt, but were you wanting to like actually like be an artist who rapped and like MC'd and stuff like that? Yeah. So you actually wanted to do that stuff as well.
Exactly.
It wasn't just writing the beats. You were also sort of interested in doing that.
Yeah. I was very interested in actually doing like the whole process. So like making my own beats. Then actually writing the lyrics, rapping it, and then doing all of that.
Producing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Is that something you maybe want to bring back into some of your stuff in the future? Like
definitely is,
because I mean like your like the bass genres and stuff, they lend themselves really well to hip hop and rap MC sort of like vibes and
that
stuff.
They do,
so that's something you want to do eventually
as
well.
It's definitely something I've had on the back of my mind for a while, and I'd love to get back into that. I feel like it's something that I'm going to pursue at a later date though, when I've actually like found my grounding doing other things. It's kind of just, I feel like it's going to work later in life rather than right now. I don't really have the time for it, etc.
Because it's another whole skill you got to learn and do. Like it's not something you just go, oh, now I do this. So I do the same with me, like in singing, because I used to sing.
Oh, nice, man.
In choir. I learned classical and all that, like and then other stuff. And I'm sort of in the same boat. Like I don't really sing anymore or anything. I just produce and make music. But I think like I've got ideas for like stuff that I'd like to do, like and even like just covers of stuff,
definitely.
But then produce it so it's a different, it's a cover. And it's my interpretation of it kind of thing with
definitely.
singing. So I'm in the same sort of boat where I'm like eventually. But got to work on everything else first.
Exactly.
Same sort of boat.
Well, it all begins with an idea, doesn't it? It's like that's the birth of any action. Like, so it's definitely something I would perceive to do later in life. Maybe once Dub Wubz has actually solidified itself a bit more, and
when you've got more time, when you're not in the building phase, when you're like, all right, I've got a bit of time. Like we said before the podcast, you're like, I haven't opened Ableton for ages. It's just you're so busy, and I'm the same.
It takes up time too.
Yeah, exactly, and even mental time. I think sometimes you've done all this work on something, and you're just like, oh man, I don't want to like open up Ableton. It's the same as I suppose anyone who's doing like a full-time job, It's when you get home and sort of forcing yourself. But I don't really have much time either. Like it's always doing something.
It's that's a hard thing when it comes to music too. Is as you were saying, when you're working and you only got so much time in a day, and when it comes to the electronic industry as well, like you've got DJing as well as producing, and I find it hard to find time for both of those. When I was just doing EDM, was just like I'd be spending all this time in production and not mixing, or I'd be mixing and not producing at all.
Just about that sort of schedule, working, getting a schedule that works for you and sort of a routine.
Got to keep yourself in check a little bit.
That's it. It's easy to just do nothing, as we were talking about outside before. So what then, you said you sort of lost a bit of interest for it or whatever, and you sort of stopped. What was the thing that then, got you back? What sparked the passion again? What got you back into music after that break that you had? How long was the break, and what got you back into, what happened there?
Break probably would have been about 2 years, maybe 3. And I mean, I kind of fell out because of a relationship, you know,
Yeah.
just like
Not in a good
deep
space.
I was in a good space, but also not, I guess. Like it was very much the power of love that, you know, just took over
Yeah.
my life for a little while.
Yeah.
And then, coming like back into it was when Your Shot 2015. I'm sure you've heard plenty of Your Shot stories.
Yeah. Plenty of Your Shot. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2015 Your Shot, and so they were teaching how to, you know, DJ, and I'd never DJed before, but I was like, that sounds like something I'd be very interested in doing. Like that would be a lot of fun. Went along, did all that learning, did all that training that they put forward.
Who was your trainer?
Nick Galea.
Nick. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
love Nick.
Legend.
Yeah. Old school Brisbane legend.
Old school. Yeah. I didn't realize, like, you know, who he was until like week 2 of our training, and I like Googled him up, and I was like, oh, all right, this guy's got like mad tunes that have been you know, billboarded, etc.
Supported by big artists. And
right,
all over Brisbane.
Legit. And that was very. You know, I was very appreciative to, like, you know, have his, like, be able to learn from, you know, him. But yeah, it was an interesting few weeks, and then, you know, performing, and very much a fish out of water when I went and did perform. I played on, they had like 3 sets, and I played on the main big one they had
at the outside.
It was so awesome.
I think I was at the 2015 one.
I think you were.
I've been to one. And I think it was 2015.
Oh, really?
I've only been to one. And it was because Nick got me into it 1 year. So it was it was a good one. But So what were you playing at that first Your Shot?
Dubstep.
What kind of music? It was dubstep?
It was just like straight dubstep. There was a bit of like drum step at the end of my set. And I played quite early in the day as well. So it was very I think I was playing after like a couple of people playing house, and then coming on with dub, you know, at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. It was very much like a lot of people were caught off guard. They're like, whoa.
Big change all of a sudden.
This is like really like hectic energy. Like
now if you go to Your Shot, it's like rhythm and dub from the start. You know what I mean? Like it's you know, it's just grown in evolved, popularity.
Yeah, exactly right.
But that would have been cool that time, because that's when like sort of dubstep was, you know, doing well. In Brisbane, you know, so it would have been kind of popular as well. I think.
Well, it was quite like starting to thrive. You know, it was within its first years of really starting to blow up and become a massive scene here. And it was good. Like I got awesome reviews on it. Like it's still one of my good friends. She's always saying how like she still listens to that mix. Because I got it up on like Mixcloud or something, and it's not I think it's. The one up on Mixcloud's like better than the one I actually did, but I want to redo it nonetheless. Just go back. But yeah, she still tells me like every time I see her, she's like, "Oh, listen to that all the time," and so like that's very humbling for me. It's like, you know, bit like gives me motivation really. But yeah, that was that would have been my first engagement into EDM, and what kind of brought me in, like brought my interests towards the whole scene in itself.
That's good. Yeah, and I think, you know, at that time, like when dubstep and all that was sort of, you know, really starting to grow, and trap as well. Like even trap, like I think of trap as like the EDM version of hip hop. You know what I mean? It's like that electronic version of hip hop. So I think we had the EDM sort of bubble, and then it was sort of like we had the trap that came next, which was like a version of EDM, but you know, hip hop. And then they, you know, it sort of started, even though dubstep had been around for a while, it started growing. I think what happened from my perspective is that, you know, the trap came in and brought a lot of hip hop guys over. And then from there, they sort of cottoned on to the beat and the actual like heavier sound, and dubstep started taking then. That sort of trap gave them a bit of an intro into electronic, and then dubstep was like that next sort of, you know, step.
They also, like with the like Biscuit Factory events that are getting run in that point in time, like they were playing only like dubstep, glitch hop, and trap. And like I miss those days so much. They were awesome. Like and like nothing against what it is now, but you go out now and it's just like 2 subgenres of dubstep, and that's all you get. But I do like the variation that they used to have. Like the variation in any form of set like is really optimal. Really like keeps the kind of like everyone's focus kind of at peak. You know, because it's constantly changing up and constantly different. You're not really, you know, never too sure what you're going to hear. but yeah, those were the days. Like, and that's probably what helped, you know, the trap people get into dubstep and that as well, is because of, you know, they'd be playing like a trap artist, and so they'd have like a trap artist and a dubstep artist playing, and then maybe a drum step artist or something.
Yeah.
And they'd be the three headliners, and so
So you introduce them to it.
Yeah,
so they're here to see the trap guy.
Yeah.
But then they hear this is dubstep. Like, it's like,
So
it's a bit later in the night when they're a bit more wasted or whatever. And they're like, shit hits, like, you know.
Exactly right. And that I mean, that's what like the heavy, like proper bass music in the sense is made for, is like that more later in the night, you know, like when you are a bit more messy. Because I do realize too, it can be a bit harder to listen to like trap and dubstep when you're, you know, just going to work or something. Like, I at least personally struggle with it. For me, I need to have like a big PA system that it's being blasted on. I need to feel that sub in my chest. Like,
but yeah, that's interesting, man. Like with dubstep, because, you know, and I'm sure you know the huge history of like dubstep, like, you know, before Skrillex came into the scene with it, how it was real dubby and real sub, you know, like dub, like dub reggae, dub sort of like, you know, that kind of vibe with the like subby, like low sounds and stuff. And then the reason that it sort of translated into that, and bro step, you know, which is dubstep now, became so popular, was because like the internet came about. And everyone was like trying to listen to tunes on their computers with these little computer monitors. And when you're listening to the like this real subby stuff, that's just, there's no bass or anything.
Nothing's coming through.
So they started like, you know, using like, you know, saturate, you know, to really like distort and so that the bass would actually come through those small systems. And that's sort of how it helped develop into what it is now, like the bro step. And then bro step took off because it was so popular. And that. So it's interesting to see, you know, it's weird how like something like a technology thing can actually influence a style of music.
Yeah. I never thought about it that way too.
Well,
that's totally
actually
what happened.
That's actually how it happened because, you know, it was such a big thing. But I mean, it's the same with trap. Like, you know, you listen to trap on little speakers. There's no low end. And it's like there's no bass. It's just literally like
just this minimal like kind of hip hop beat in a sense.
Like, just with no low end kind of thing. So you know, that's why I think it's interesting. Why I think, you know, dubstep in particular is an interesting genre, because it has been sort of influenced a bit by technology, which is really cool. Like that's actually cool. That's a cool thing. I think.
It's crazy. Like I've seen can't remember. Casper. There's a video of like Casper when he's like he was an old school dub artist, and he's like in a studio and he's using like old school, you know, before like Excel, like before Windows Excel like type computers. And like making songs on that with like the most old school bloody like analog synths and all this stuff, and the way he like makes and samples these sounds is just like, you'd be like, what? Like you'd get a new producer these days into the studio he used to have, and they'd just be like, how do I use this? Like, what do I do? Yeah,
like,
they wouldn't even know how to make a single sound from it.
Where's Ableton? You know, like, Where's Serum?
Where's the waveform?
Where's Serum? How do I do FM synthesis? You know,
how do I draw my melody in there?
It's like, you know, back for all genres, I suppose. Like it started in that kind of, you know, realm where it was like shitty computers that all they could do is just send and receive MIDI or something. You know what I mean? Legit. And then you use something. Then you're using something else to record into, like. Hectic.
It's cool to see how far it's come at that though. Like, and even these days, just like constant, like, just evolution of like MIDI stuff, as well as just actual plugins within the computers, and they're just all these different doors now, like actually competing with each other, and just like, well, we've got this now, we've got this. Oh, well, you can now open ours up within your door, so you might as well use ours. And it's just like, but it's, you know, as a musician, it's very nice that it's all easy to access, and it's just there and ready to use, and you don't need to like learn as much in a way to be able to do. Like, you know, like I'd probably need 3 or 4 times as much music making knowledge to be able to do what Casper was doing back in the day using those computers. And
then the price as well. You know, you think about how much like even the shitty computer you would have been like cost shitloads. And then you got to have all the analog, you know, the synths and the tape record, you know, all that kind of stuff too. which back then. But I think it's
Couple hundred
interesting.
apiece.
So I was talking to Johnny, who owns a studio with us, and he said the next sort of evolution of analog stuff is like digital recall. So the way it'll work is like now at the moment, like a lot of top mixing guys in the world, they don't use big desks because if you do a mix for someone as a mix engineer and send it off, and then like they don't look at it for a week or 2 weeks, and then they go, oh, can you just change this like one thing? If you've got it all running through a desk, you have to go through and like actually go and reprogram all the knobs on everything because it's analog. But the new thing is, and so a lot of people don't like to do that these days because they're like, well, we'll just do it in the box because then I can just open it up,
And just go
change
bang,
what I
bang.
want,
Yep.
and send it to them. But he was saying the new thing is that they're going to be doing like digital recall. So it's like when the desks will connect to a computer, and when you turn the knob on here, it'll turn the knob on your computer like it does. But then when all you have to do to get back to a session is plug it in, and you press the button, and all the knobs will move to where it is. And if there's automation, so it'll actually move. So all you have to do is, instead of making all the knobs go where they are, you just plug it in and then hit
The
sync,
button that
and they
does
all go like to all the positions, and then you can like recall
That's cool.
it. So
That's
it's
cool.
cool to see that, because then it's like it's bringing back. You can still use the analog circuitry and the analog sound.
Yeah.
But you've got that digital control and the ability to like recall.
Yeah.
Because like my mastering engineer, when he sends me like a track back, he'll send me the signal flow from this, from the EQ, and it's at 180 with -2 dB, and he'll actually send the actual like what the settings were,
like notes for that.
So that if you go, can you do a revision or like change something, he actually knows what all the settings are, and like that just seems like such a pain to me.
That would be a pain.
Like
writing out all the knobs and all the little plugins.
You want that awesome analog sound, but it's like you don't have that recall. It's like even when we use like our like some of our analogs, well, maybe not some of these, but like the modular.
Yeah, it looks
if you
like
come
a
up with
beast.
a really cool patch, we take a photo.
Yeah,
you
nice.
take a photo of it, and then it's like if you want to get back to it, you got to look at the photo and you got to put all the knobs
you got to
where
try
they
to
need
figure
go,
it back out.
and then you got to plug everything into all the holes. So it's.
I've done that with like learning on an actual control desk and using a like similar I can't remember patching thing for all the plug-in for like compressors and stuff. And we had to take a picture of it to actually like memorize how to do it. So when we came back in on our own to record some stuff for our like lesson, we could do it on our own. And going off the picture was just like right,
let's
go
left or right,
That's
and
not
work
working.
on it.
All right. I think it's the next one over. Then you realize that you got like one of the plugs just completely wrong, and it was a bit of a pain, but like you got to do what you got to do. Yeah,
but it's good to learn as well, So if you do, because like, and that's why you said you're on Ableton.
Yep.
And that's why, like, for example, I want to learn a bit more of FL Studio, because it's like I use Ableton as well, but I want to know the basics of how to get around and use it, so that if I'm collabing with someone in the studio, and we're on their system and they're an FL user, I can at least know my way around to do stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's the same with, it's good to know a little bit of analog mixing desk, all that kind of stuff, because it's like if you go into, someone goes, "Oi, let's mix it on the Neve at SAE. I'm an alumni. I can get studio time. Let's put it through the Neve." You can actually go, "All right, sweet. I kind of, even if you're not a master at it, you still sort of know what they're doing and understand it." So
exactly.
I think that's really cool to do. So then with like production, once you got into DJing in 2015, how long did it take you then to sort of get in, like pick back up sort of production and start making? Did you sort of go back into it and start making dubstep and the new music you're into? Yeah.
So I jumped straight on to like trying to make dubstep, trying to get onto that path basically. It wasn't like the easiest thing for me at the time. Like it was funny looking back. Like I basically just worked on a whole bunch of remixes. Like got a whole bunch of remix stems, kind of backtracked the actual remix stem. So I'd actually try to just create the song from those stems, and then creatively try to like piece it apart and rework it into something else.
Yeah, that's cool. Because it's like you're reverse engineering it, but you're not reverse engineering a song. Because like you know, you can try and make a song sound like another song, but if you've got the stems, sort of gives you a bit more understanding of how it all pieces together.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you're remaking the pieces, and that sort of gives you a bit more of the I like that. That's a really cool way to learn. I've never heard of anyone doing that.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
that's good though.
Because
you know, people do like remake a song, like try and remake songs, try and remake patches, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of anyone doing it with stems, which is actually a really like awesome way to do it. Because if you can recreate and make those cool stems, then like, you know, like that's half the mixing done.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, because if you get the sound from the start, it's half the mixing done. So that's a cool way to do it.
It like, I definitely like promote doing it as well, because it's very like it really taught me how structure works within music. Like, because I didn't actually know proper structure, even like especially hip hop. Like, they still do phrases, but they can do like half phrases and quarter phrases, and it doesn't even matter. Like, it
doesn't matter as long as like it's a cool flow or something. You know, like it still works.
Yeah, as long as you've got some form of like proper balance, and make it work, it'll work. But with like obviously with EDM, you can't really do that, because then
a bit more of a structure.
If someone tries to mix it, then it's just going to go out halfway through the song. And so I learn a lot about like structure and you know, just general like little things on like the flow, I guess, of like where certain change ups are very key. And then so I started trying to make my own stuff, and there was a long period of where I was just using terrible drums, like terrible samples. You
don't even know that that's the problem until someone like tells you. Like, because you're like,
Well,
oh, how do they make it sound like that? And you think that it's maybe all the processing or the extra stuff they do at the end, or oh man, they've got a drum machine that makes it sound sick, you know. But it's like, no, you can just get like, you know, better samples and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I mean, it was funny because even when people would tell me, I'd be like, oh, are they? And I'd go back and listen to them, and I wouldn't, like, I'd hear that they weren't super like punchy and loud like other people's, but at the same time they were like, I wasn't like, that's all I could hear. They didn't
ear
sound
wasn't
off
sort
to
of
me.
trained.
Yeah, exactly.
You hadn't listened to the difference between two, and you hadn't sort of A-B'd and gone, these are like my drums, and then like these are these, and gone, oh, there is, you know, and actually.
And then after a little while, I'd go back and like, you know, say after a few months or something, I'd then listen back and be like, oh,
now I
get it now.
I
see the problem. The amount of these like old songs that I have where I've been like, oh, I want to go back and like rework it, because it's just like, there's really good ideas and like pieces, and it's just like, it's just a 80% finished song, and it's like, but
it's just like the mix almost needs like a change or something. You know? You just need to mix it better, or just replace some drums or something. You know?
It's forever learning, forever learning experience at that too, because like I'm still learning how to
with production,
mix down and process things differently or properly to some extent.
It's still the same thing. Like, you probably go back and listen to stuff from, you know, a couple of months ago or whatever, and you listen to it and you go, oh man, the way, because you've learnt some new technique, and you're like, oh man, the way I was, you know, like mixing, you know, EQing that bass line was so terrible. Like, even though, you know, it's like you keep learning new stuff. It's always the way.
Nothing's more true than that.
It's always, you always listen to, and that's that trap you can get stuck in when you like start you start a new tune, and you're like, oh, this is sounding way better than my last tune. Like, so I'm just going to work on this. And it's like, well, and then you start another tune, you go, because you've learned something else, and you're like, oh, this is way better than the last tune. And all of a sudden you've got 10 unfinished tunes, and you've just taught yourself to not finish tunes. Like, you're practicing not finishing. So it's like, you know, you get to that level where eventually you realize, like, all right, like, even if I know I can start something better, or I start something and it's way better, you still got to finish the old thing. So you can learn that 10-20%, because that's the hardest bit.
That is the hardest
10-20%.
That final, like,
those little bits,
off
and you know,
it's very, I mean, it's just technical. It's so technical, so fiddly, and it's so easy to, like, you know, in that 10-20% final finishing a song, it's so easy to, you know, go, you know, get 15% until you're done, and then you try to get that next 5% done, and then all of a sudden, you're now 70%. You've just like done something that's taken you back a few steps, and it's just like, what have I done? Like, no.
When you do a session, and then like you're like, oh, I think it's like sounding a bit better, and then like the next day you listen to what you had,
Yeah,
fresh
yeah,
ears,
yeah.
your new one and your old one, and you're
was I
like,
thinking?
oh man, I really fucked it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
go
legit.
back to what you did, where you were,
Yeah.
and like try and rework it.
Oh, yes.
That's always the way, man. Yeah.
Countless times. A lot of the time I need, feedback. Feedback's very handy too, like getting people to point out certain things, because your ears, you might get trained to certain sounds within your song or something, and you just completely like not hearing some aspect of it or element.
Yeah.
And someone will be like, oh, like, did you not notice that this is like, doing this or something? And you're like,
Something's
oh,
real sticking out.
how did
or
I not
something.
notice that? Yeah.
Just like popping out or something,
Yeah.
like real loud. It's like, man, that sounds real loud. You're like, what sound? And you're like, that one. And you're like, oh yeah. And you've just gotten used to how it sounds. Yeah.
I did that. I mastered a friend's song recently, and that was something that happened. He had like a hat behind some kick randomly in a couple of sections. And I pointed it out to him, and I was like, yeah, like I've tried to cut down, the high end to, make it not as noticeable, but, it'd be better if you just took that hat out. And he's like, oh, I didn't even notice. So I was like, no, I put it there. I must have forgotten to take it out. Like, just completely had not, come to his attention.
Yeah. And sometimes it's because you're so used to it. Sometimes it's because your ears aren't trained because you're new.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's because the environment you're in is not right. Maybe your headphones have a little dip at that frequency, and so when you hear it, it doesn't sound too loud. But then when it's on at someone else's system, it does.
Yeah, exactly.
Or your room isn't, like treated or tuned, whatever it is. Like there's so many problems you can come into, and that's why what you said, feedback, is so great. Even when you're in a studio like this that's treated, you still need to get feedback and then go and, classic, do the car test.
Yeah, I was about to say,
do the phone test, do the
shitty
earphones, the
headphones,
headphones,
like,
everything, because you sort of understand then a bit more about it,
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, everyone should know about the car test and all
I think
that kind
everyone
of
knows
stuff.
about that. Yeah, I don't have a car, so I'm not that lucky, but
Yeah, but, like just the testing on other systems
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff,
exactly, I know,
is really big, So, with production then, you said you're on Ableton. Let's talk about maybe some of the stuff you're loving. Give us some of your gold. What's like maybe any techniques you've learnt that you're loving, plugins, sample packs, anything that you just find at the moment you're like, I love using this, or I've just started doing this and it's awesome. What's been going on with that?
Definitely like two things that I could point out, like on Ableton, is grain delay. Grain delay is like such a beautiful thing, like where you can almost create this, like, I like to call it a sparkle. And there's this, like, I can't remember exactly like how it's done, but it's just like by ramping up the feedback and then creating like a group of that plugin so that you can have a dry and a wet signal. Like the dry having no grain delay and the wet having the grain delay. And then you just like
mix in the levels to make sure it's right. Yeah,
you get this nice like sparkle that's almost like a flume style, like kind
that's
of.
a big flume thing, granular. Or granular synths even, like that's a big flume.
Yeah.
Like he loves that kind of stuff.
It just has such a like nice, like, for me it's about adding like this like harmonic dissonance in the background, just a little bit of like variation to give it that more natural tone by not creating like repetitive, square patterns basically where there isn't a harmonic dissonance. And so grain delay by far, and then frequency shifter. Because just like
so good.
You can create
how do you
some
use
awesome.
it? How do you use it? Because there's so many things you can use.
Well, I know some people use it just to change the key of like some of their like bass synths or whatever. Which is I only stumbled upon learning that like a week or two ago. And I think that's an awesome way to actually change your key, because instead of using transpose, transpose kind of bends the waveform a little bit, and so it can make it a bit juddy, or like not keep it in exactly like the same waveform that it has. But so what I do is I basically just smash the actual frequency of it, and then play with the square wave or sine wave or triangular wave, etc., and or saw, and basically just like the time and frequency of it, just push that up, and try to get like kind of that sound of like what people are talking about, future rhythm in the dubstep scene at the moment, which is like this kind of real digitally like kind of sound that's like sparkling on the top of their synths.
So it's almost like it's like auto-tuned on top of the synths in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this weird like,
but it's not a voice, it's a synth.
Yeah. And it like causes this like, because there's like an LFO within frequency shifter as well, it kind of like you can change up the patterns of how it's actually like affecting like within that song. So you can almost add it onto a synth and that's all one key, and then give it actual melody through using that frequency shifter like LFO, and you can just create some awesome like experimental stuff. Like I made this one song which is like I feel it's my best work at the moment. It's unreleased, but it's just like I just went ham on the frequency shifter.
Yeah.
Like I went so ham on it, and it's like that's all it is basically. It's just immense frequency shifting. And
so do you like automate parameters within it then, or do you just sort of like set it to what it is and use it like that?
I've started doing that because like
that's kind of like the next level.
I've you know, like again with like music being such a constant road of learning and just like always learning new things. Automation's one of those things where I'm starting to realize, oh, like you can literally automate everything. And like the more you automate things, like the better things seem to almost get, like, you know, depending. But it's
it just doesn't feel like it's like a robot. It doesn't feel like it's coming from a computer when you start automating everything.
It's
you can change the cutoffs, you know, change and all that kind of stuff, and it feels like it's a real instrument or something.
You get more like smoothness and like flow within transitions, and you know, even if that transitions, you know, within a 1 second of like some sound coming in, like if you automate it in, then it's just like adds this like nice depth to it basically. Like automation's something that I've actually been very slack with in the past, and only realized probably about 8 months ago that I was slack with it.
I was on that same sort of tip for ages too, and it's like once you start, you use it on one thing and you like automate it throughout the whole song, maybe like the cutoff or something, and you automate it for the whole song all the way through, and you're like, that really does make a difference. And then you just start going ham on everything, automating everything. That's great. What about like, do you, for like basses and stuff with dubstep, do you do a lot of resampling at all, or is that something? Like, that's a huge thing in bass, you know, like you know, bass music and stuff, resampling and trying to, you know, get those bass lines.
Coming from my like hip hop background as well, like that was one of the most prime things that like I was taught was like how to resample. Like I had countless lessons like with Samsonite, where he actually, you know, was teaching us sampling and like how to, you know, sample. And you know, even from like sampling of vinyl. So if you're like, oh, you hear this cool sound on vinyl that you want to like resample or something, like this is how you do it. So I do love doing that. Like you can create some like crazy stuff, like crazy stuff resampling. Like I a lot of the synths, like some of the best synths even that I've made myself, like that I feel are my best, I literally use like Operator within Ableton, which is like such a simple stock, like
it's a beast though. You can do
it is a mad beast.
It's like it's simple, but you can also get real complex with it, you know, like it's heaps you can do.
I probably don't have enough knowledge to get super complex with it, but through practice. But I'll make something like kind of half to where I'm trying to get something that I like, and then I'll basically, you know, record that out and then resample that, and then I'll turn that into something, you know, that much fatter and nicer, and then sometimes, you know, again and sometimes again, and it's like during that process of the resampling, like you could get like a, you know, recording of a truck engine, and it's in the resampling process that where you can turn it into some fat bass. Like,
it's like, remember when they used to do all the like people would like record stuff at like different places, and then they put it in Ableton and do the like the you know, like Mash and Kutcher used to do it all the time. And stuff,
they were great
and
videos.
Do a little, all those things would be sampled.
Pizza Man banger or something, like that was a great one.
Like you can literally do it with almost anything. You you just need that original tone.
Oh, I've seen a crazy video. Like there's these YouTube videos of where they have the four artists remixing one song. And Virtual Riot's one of them, and on this one episode, he decides to on his remix of the song, literally just take the keyboard and makes the whole song out of the keyboard. So like he makes the drums out of the keyboard. He just resamples everything out of this keyboard note. And it's just mental seeing like the final product that he actually gives out as well. Cause it's just like, what, like how is that just a keyboard resampled into an entire song?
Just like to think about the knowledge and the process and how that would do, it's like mind-boggling. Hey, for for people who understand production and stuff like that, it's like when you talk about that kind of level, that's next level understanding.
Yeah, that's
all of it.
Proper like just transmuting like sound. That's proper just like turning like forming it into whatever you want. Like it's mental. Like that's where I'd ideally want to get to. I'd love to have that ability where I can just be like, all right. Yep, let's take this sound of, a car door closing and turn that into the fattest kick drum you've ever heard or something.
Yeah, that'd be so sick. What about like DJing then? So let's talk about your journey that once you did Your Shot, what happened then? What was your first gig from there? How did you get, like, how did that happen for your first gig after Your Shot?
It's a good question. Which was my first gig after Your Shot? I think it was, I think it would have been, it wasn't Trap Step, but it was at a Lost Bar and Nightclub.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. It was, I'm not even actually sure how I got it. I was friends with the guy who was running it, I think, and like acquaintance anyway, and then kind of went in there and for one of their shows and kind of was just like, I'd love to play, et cetera, et cetera. I was doing it, for free as well, which some people are here and there about or whatever, but I was just happy to do it at the time. I didn't care. And that was a blast. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Did that 3 or 4 times. And then like played another show over at Amped. And that was like some DJ comp thing as well.
Yep.
Yeah. But I've always struggled at really actually trying to get myself out there and play shows because I was very much more on the production side of things and just overthinking a lot of the time, like constantly overthinking like actual performing and then playing, and so like it'd be easier to like if I already had a gig set up, I'd be doing it, and I'd like I'm still going to have that kind of negative self-talk, the anxiety leading up towards it.
Yeah.
But I've already got that even if I don't have the set, like just thinking about it. And so I therefore don't end up asking to have that set because it's like, oh, well, I'm already like anxious about it. I'm not going to do it, which is a terrible mindset to have, like really.
I think like a lot of people get, strung up on performance anxiety and stuff like that, like performing. And I always tell people like, because everyone says, oh, it's such a bad, I wish I didn't have it. And I always say to people, I'm like, no, that's actually like a good thing. That means you actually care about the thing, like, and I know it's a different one for me, I'm all about like reframing and look at things in different ways. That's why I always say to people, it's like, that's actually a good thing. It means you care about it. So it's something you're passionate about. So that's good. Think of it as good nerves or good anxiety, and a lot of people, some people have heard that and go, oh no, that won't work for me. And then some people are like, oh, I might try that, like that. Yeah. So I think that's a good, because everyone, especially when you're in the beginning and stuff, everyone has that kind of anxiety of performance.
Yeah.
It's foreign, it's new, it's scary, but.
I remember the Your Shot show. I was like, oh, I'm just going to have a couple of beers to, get rid of the nerves, and ended up probably having 1 or 2 too many. Yeah. I still smashed the set and everything was fine. There was only like one main problem where I like decided to like kind of dance to one of the drops, and the headphones just got thrown off me and like landed square in the middle of the decks, but thankfully didn't stop anything.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say they let it right on the play button and stopped it.
That would have been the worst. Like, thankfully I've always had quite a lot of luck with my sets. I've never actually like paused a set, and touch wood I don't, but never paused a set yet.
You haven't DJ'd till you've paused the track. You know what I mean? Like I've done it so many times. Like, or I've even like when people used to, one thing I used to like get, because I would always turn the faders onto through. and not crossfade.
Yeah.
And then someone would like leave it on crossfade, and I'd be like right up near the mixer and like dance, like doing something or whatever, and I'd like move the crossfader accidentally with my shirt over to one side when it's not where the track is, and I'm like, and then like I've got headphones on it, and like, so I'm like, oh shit, like, you know, like, so that used to always, so now whenever I like DJ, I always like check it's all on throughput so that the crossfader is not working. Like it's like one of my checklists now. Because I've stuffed it up so many times.
I can imagine, like, plus the crossfader, I mean, you never really think about it. At least with dubstep, you don't think about it. It's always just the main faders, but
it's I've done it before, and like I've even done it like a house party where I had, because there was no real booth monitors, I was mixing in my headphones. So like to me, the sound sounded still full volume because it's you know what I mean? Because I'm like
through the
queue and stuff, and so I'm like just stood there, and like someone comes and goes, "There's no sound."
Like, what?
Take them off. I'm like,
how long
has
there been no sound for?
And then like, crossfade. Like it was just like a college party or something.
Yeah,
it wasn't like at a club or something like that.
I've messed up plenty of times at parties. That's what parties are for.
Yeah, we've all got those stories about parties when we've really stuffed something up.
One of the worst things I've done while performing was this was like a competition that was actually at Lost as well. For one entire song, so the period of like a minute and a half or something, I had like a reverb on or something, and because like I didn't know, I didn't know. I thought I'd turn it off. I didn't turn it off, and I didn't realize. And it was just the delay from like the echo or whatever it was, reverb, was causing the bass to just completely cut out. And I was like listening to it, like as I was trying to bring in the next song, and I was like, what? There's something wrong here. Like I couldn't pick out what it was, but it wasn't until later, like at the end of the song when I brought in the new one, I was like, oh shit. Like
it's like once you like get comfortable with it, it's almost like you've got like a checklist in your head that it's always like, you know, you're like, you sort of check.
Could do this, that,
and it's like as soon as I mix out one song here, like the checklist is like for me is always just like EQs at 0.
Yeah,
volume, make sure the track, you know, like all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, there's like that kind of check the effect panel, you know, like just check it's not flashing.
Make sure everything,
like
ready
just
and
make
set.
sure. And you sort of, once you get into that, and it's almost like it's not even a checklist. It's like, you know, you just like, it might be in your peripheral, you can see that it's not flashing. It's just a blue light, you know, like, so you know the effect's not on. So it's like, you sort of get used to that. Yeah.
For me, I think that was like my first time as well using like a proper mixer that had CDJs that had those effects on it, because like I mean everything I'd used before that were all controllers where it's, you know, just at the top of the controller type thing. I find it so weird how they do the style differently between effects on controllers and effects on like a proper CDJ mixer. And I'm thankful that now Pioneer has actually started making the effects on their controllers the same as on their mixers.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, why wouldn't you?
Well,
like, you want to make it transferable skill.
Exactly,
so
right.
that if you want to make it as close to the club setup as possible, but cheaper, so that everyone's going to buy it, because then they're like, well, I know that if I can mix on this, I can just go to the club setup. And it's easy.
Go over there and done. Yep. I've like, you know, used plenty of decks where it's just like what they give you on those controllers are not transferable. They're so much different to actually using proper CDJs and whatnot. But and even then CDJs, like, I mean, having no screen and all that, like the first time you use them, no matter how long you've been DJing, you have to relearn beat matching, like by ears.
Unless that's what I always say to people.
Unless you
like,
did vinyl.
Don't look at the waveform or anything. Like, don't do it. Like it's
I remember Nick Galea saying back when I was doing the Your Shot training, you know, he was like, you know, just get tape and just put it over your laptop.
Put your phone over the top. You know, if it's just, you know,
the screen on the
new
controller.
Ones,
Exactly.
It's like, because back when, you know, when I started and stuff, I did sort of start on Tractor and that, but it had come from the CDJ, like CDs, like CDJ 1000, like, where it was CDs. So I sort of learnt initially on Tractor and stuff with the controller, and then went into like CDs, and then it's just like,
and then transferred to CDJ 1000.
And it's just such a totally different experience because you don't have like waveforms really. You've just got these bricks that go.
Yeah.
like just to show you how far through the song you are. And you don't even have it to the point. It was like 123 BPM, and it's like then. So you can like, move it, and there's like, it won't move the BPM or anything.
Oh, it's just the percentage?
The percentage, yeah. But it's like 120, because so it doesn't have the 0.2 or 0.26 or, it just goes 124, and then it's still, and then all of a sudden it goes to 125. And so you had nothing to look at to start with, but you also had nothing to tell you the exact BPM.
Yep.
So you don't know if they're actually exactly perfect.
Yeah.
So you might actually have to jog a track through because it's not exactly on, unless that's where you train your ears then to see it, like, it keeps slipping forwards, must need a little bit more, like it was. And that was such a big shock, was because of what you said. You used to just look at the screen and stuff where it was, and you're like, oh, it's out, and then all of a sudden there's no screen, there's not even a BPM to tell you. It's like, shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so hectic, like, going to that sort of like thing. And I think but that's a good way to learn then.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, you don't need any of that kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
then vinyl's even fucking the next step. You don't even have a BPM. You don't know what BPM it is.
I feel that. If I ever want to challenge, I'll probably go try to do vinyl. Like,
have you ever tried to mix vinyl?
Nah.
Yeah, it's tough.
I can imagine. Like, you'd have to get very familiar with your plates, like with your vinyls, and really know like kind of where everything is and plays. Like,
and even like the way you actually like manipulate there's different techniques to do, like to slow a track down, instead of just going like that, to slow it down on CDJs, you can like put your finger on the side so that it's just spinning at a slow, you know what I mean? Slow thing. Or you can get
add some friction to it.
Or if you want to speed it up a little bit, instead of going like that, you can grab the little metal bit in the middle and like give it a bit of extra twist.
Oh yeah.
There's
true.
like all these different little it's like just a little nudge, because you don't want to give it a full, There's all these like vinyl techniques that are like different, and it's just different, but it's so fun to do. We used to do it with mates, like just at a house or whatever, and it's just like so tough, but great to learn. Like, it helps your ear and stuff.
I'm sure if you can mix vinyl, you can mix anything. Like,
Well, have you seen like some of those things? I've only seen it once. Was a guy like DJing with like tape.
Oh yeah, tape.
He's like,
he's like army DJ.
Mr. Tape, or I don't know who it was. The guy, but I've seen that
stuff
video.
is insane.
That looks crazy. Just
twisting it back.
Yeah. So let's we've talked about a bit of DJing and production. Let's go back to the Dub Wubz stuff. What's coming up? Have you got any releases and stuff? Like, I know your schedule's like crazy, but when's the next release coming out? This will come out on Monday. So
Monday.
So when's your next release?
So it'll be today. Well, the
day
this comes out. Yeah.
So Monday. What's
Monday.
the date there? That's the 14th?
Yeah,
I think it's the 14th.
So 14th of September we're in. Yeah. It's like,
what
we're
month
into
is it?
October. Oh shit. So 14th of September. Got two big international dons, like not massive, but they're bloody like decently up there. Lazy Flex and Fiddy K, Master Glitch, which is like for lovers of rhythm, it's everything they could have asked for. It's I remember like 2 or 3 years ago, like knowing of Lazy Flex and Fiddy K, and just like, they were at like maybe 3K followers or something. They're about like 5-6 now. But I was like, just loved their sound design. Like, it was very like their output of their song is just very well done. So that's dropping Monday, and got a lot of like hype basically ready for this one. A lot of people like quite interested in this one because it's been our like first with an actual like bigger, more renowned name basically. But yeah, we're actually booked up until first week of January.
Jeez. And so what's that release schedule? Is it like every 2 weeks, every week? Month? What is it?
Every fortnight, so every 2 weeks.
2 weeks. And you're releasing it on then the Monday, is it? Is that when we look out for them all? Yeah.
So it used to be Friday as well, but I realized that like with releasing on Friday, I was kind of driving myself a bit thin with having to prep everything up and actually, like do all the promotion, etc. Change all the flyers and banners and so I realized, Monday is just a better day to release, kind of, because then it gives the whole week to, promote it, etc. Like,
yeah, that's yeah. 'Cause people, I find weekends promotion and stuff, unless it's like an actual club gig or event. In the past, anyway, I don't know about now. Who knows what the vibe is? But
world's changed.
but like giving people that week, and if it's people who want to play it in a gig, at a show, they can get it on the Monday to play for that next weekend. Whereas if they get it on the Friday,
there's no time.
They've never heard it. They don't know if it'll even fit. It's like you don't have time to chuck it in your set. But if you've got it on the Monday, it gives you a chance. Maybe you see it on the Tuesday and hear it. You grab it on the Wednesday. And then, you chuck it in your set, for the weekend.
Exactly
sort of
right.
So I think that's really smart to change
definitely.
it up
that
like
was
that.
another concept that I had behind doing it as well.
Yeah.
Really like, because I'm trying to build a proper like kind of promotional plan to actually follow and kind of set in stone, so that as in the future, after a few more releases, it just becomes natural, and it's just like this general routine that I go through, and like, well, me and Matt go through. So it's gone quite well. Like I've got a compilation album set for
cool.
and actually a remix competition, which ends over in December, and that's pretty much what our 2 releases for December is going to be. It's going to be 3 songs, which will be the remix competition winners from Vector Among Us VIP, who's Vector's a local Brisbane boy. Then the compilation album, which will be featuring about 15 artists from around the world that I've been putting a lot of time into refining them down and actually getting, kind of my image represented throughout it. Like my
make it branded right for Dub Wubz and everything you're going for. Yeah, make it look like it's part of the whole,
exactly
the brand or whatever.
Yeah.
I hate using the word brand, but but the brand,
it is brand.
The image, whatever it is. I really love what you said.
Branding's important.
Like before, like it sort of brings it back to what we were talking about at the start, where you like make mistakes and then you learn from it. It's like you said, the Friday you were releasing, then you realize you didn't really have enough time, and you changed it to the Monday. That's like coming full circle back to what we were talking about at the start.
Literally,
The other thing is with the compilation, and I want to ask, and because I don't know, it's really a big thing in dubstep. So, well, to be honest, I've never really seen a lot of dubstep compilations or anything like that.
Yeah.
Is that something that's big in the dubstep scene? Like, is there many compilations? I mean, compilations, there's not a lot in general, I think, anymore.
No, I don't
It
think
used
so.
to just be everyone, did their own thing.
But
the other thing following on from that I was going to ask is, like, I used to love back in the day, like the mix compilations. So it'd be a compilation, but someone would then mix it, and so you'd have the continuous mix of it, and you'd also have the the individual tracks.
Yeah.
Have you thought about doing something like that? I don't know if it's ever been.
I mean,
has it been
made
done
me
in
think about
dubstep?
it.
Because like I don't know if it's easy to do with the different songs and that, but it could be really cool to have that mixed version of it as well. I don't know. It's just an idea I haven't seen in ages.
I can't be like stated upon this. Like I need some fact checking, but I'm pretty sure Phase One's most recent album, or no, not his recent one because he just dropped one apparently, but one from like last year, where he featured like North Lane and Periphery and stuff on there. I'm pretty sure that album actually had like a total mix.
Like continuous mix. It's like
they weren't mixed together though. It was more so that like each song kind of ends, and where it ends, it actually just instantly follows on into that next song.
So you don't have to like have it in a playlist. It's one file. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because back in the day when like all the Ministry Sound sort of albums and stuff,
they
used to
always
have
had
the
one.
continuous mix, and it's a lot easier with like housey, kind of stuff because you can have the little intro, outro sort of bits of it, So it might be a bit more tricky with dubstep, and stuff like that.
It's definitely something to think about though.
I think it's a cool idea, man, because then you can,
idea,
you can do it as like, you can put the continuous mix out as a mix for free maybe or whatever, and then go, if you like any of his tunes, like you just go and buy it. And if you buy the whole compilation album, you get the mix thing as a free,
with the first question about compilation albums as well, like compilation albums for dubstep have like, they're not like super popular in the sense of like there's not a ton of them out there.
Yeah.
But they actually have been, circulating dubstep for like 2 to almost 3 years now. Like I've been on 3 different compilation albums in the past.
So it's something that is out there.
Yeah. There's plenty of like labels doing them. There's a label in Perth, like Filth who runs like the Filth events.
I've heard of Filth events, yeah.
They got their label F Audio, and they release like compilation albums all the time. There's a distributed though. Ours, like for Dub Wubz, is going to be a free download type thing.
Even better, yeah.
Yeah, because that way as well, I want it to be something that helps the artists. I want it to be kind of that point in which I can actually help them gain more followers and all that. So it'll be, to download it instead of, paying whatever amount. All you have to do is follow us and follow the artists and it's yours. And then that helps build everyone's network up, and
that's it.
Yeah.
Everyone wins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what else you got coming up for Dub Wubz and stuff? Do you have any is there anything else? And I know we're not in the right scheme, but would you like we're talking like in the very future, would you like to do like events or anything like that? Was that something you've thought about doing, like branching out and maybe, if you've got good support, do a few events or something? Yeah,
definitely. I was already looking into doing some events as of recent and like some streaming events, which is still on the books. But yeah, so like in the future, like I do want to get into event running, like even running streams. I do want, like there's a whole bunch of other little niche things that I want to do, like promotional services, Spotify playlisting type stuff, mastering services, this, that, the other. But if anything, I'd say a radio station as well is one thing that I really want to get going.
So an actual radio station or like an online
radio station?
I was going to say, I don't know if you've seen that, what's that? It's on Netflix. It's like the UK pirate radio station the Grime guys do.
Oh, no, I've seen 1 or 2
We
episodes.
Just Do Nothing or something. I can't remember what it is. Oh, man, that show is... If you haven't seen that, you should go. So, like, when you said that, I just thought instantly of them, like a little pirate radio station. But yeah, like an online radio station sort of thing. And would that be something that runs like 24/7 kind of thing with just... You'd have curated playlists or mixes or whatever that you just have going.
So, it would be
any time of the day, you can tune in and it's going to be that vibe of
exactly. Yeah, that's it. We'll have it set up as a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week radio station. Have eventually, like, because it's all in kind of the idea part now. Like, I see that like certain like podcasts could be had on it in the sense, and also like featured on it. Like it could feature, appeared on a podcast for one of my friends, Astro Rain, recently.
I think I saw that one. That's the video one you did. Video? I remember seeing that. I was like, that's cool.
Over Zoom. That was really good. Like, ended up talking about a whole bunch of positive affirmations and all sorts.
That's awesome.
Really good. But like to be able to have those, featured on it as well, guest mixes. I'd even love a little element of like a Grand Theft Auto kind of radio station. So I'd want skits on there as well to kind of keep people entertained between like
little bits. Just fun stuff you can add in there.
Exactly.
Like, let's do this. Like, and you have a little fun time creating some kind of audio.
And I don't know if you've ever heard the Rock radio station in New Zealand.
No.
My good mate Chris, he plays it all the time at home. And just New Zealand humor is so great. The Rock radio station, I mean, besides playing great music, it actually like is a Grand Theft Auto radio station in a sense, because they talk trash, like so much trash, and like one of them will just start something and be like saying that it's some fact and it's obviously like really not. And then the other one will just like not buy into it, but like keep the ball rolling basically, and
they just talk shit.
It just ends up at some pinnacle and you're just like, what? Like, how did we get here? And then they'll just play the next song.
That's so good.
So
just like really fun stuff and really diverse and just content for to have content there.
It'll be like this radio station will be a great spot to actually be able to help promote artists better as well. Like not only the label itself and our releases, but it'll be a platform where we're able to help other artists get more fan base through views. Like probably have some form of submission type link, and
Yeah.
it'll just be like, yeah, you submit tunes, and then we'll go through them and kind of add them, kind of like
Add 'em to the
noisier radio
playlist.
in the sense.
It's been added to the playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool, man. So give us how can we find you online? Dub Wubz and everything. What's the handles? All the Insta and Facebook and all that. Is it all the same, or what's the?
Pretty much all the same. If it's
Yeah.
not Dub Wubz Promotions with space in between them each,
Yeah.
it's Dub Wubz Promo.
Yeah.
Like usually you can get like pretty lucky and just find it. Like just typing
Yeah.
in Dub Wubz. Like it's a.
We'll put links in the comments.
Yeah,
in the description and that.
But yeah, on like
Dub Wubz,
Twitter,
all that,
Instagram, like
on all the places.
SoundCloud, Beatport, bloody Spotify, iTunes, yada yada. Got our own website going, which is www.dubwubzpromotions.com.
So if you go there, you'll be able to
Super
find
simple.
everything else from there, right?
Yeah.
So just go to Dub Wubz Promotion. Dub Wubz
Promotions.
with an S.
Z.
With a Z.
Yeah.
Dub Wubz with a Z Promotions.
Yep.
.com.
Yeah, that's the one.
Awesome.
And
well, yeah, thanks for coming in, man. Anything else coming up that you want to tell us about or anything?
No,
that's it. We've covered it all.
Compilation album.
Yeah,
all
look
our
out for the compilation album.
I mean,
try out for the DJ, not the DJ comp, the remix comp.
Yeah.
Live
If
at the
anyone,
moment.
wants
That's
to
on the
have a
website
go,
too. You can find all the links
all
there.
genres, are are a go. Like, feel free to send through anything. Like,
I think I'm hit you up. I was like, I might do a little remix, a housey sort of thing.
I'd be keen to hear it. Yeah,
Cool.
I eventually want it to be, I want it to be mostly like trap house, trap dubstep and drum and bass.
Yeah.
But like overall, like music is music. Like EDM is EDM.
Yeah.
Like,
The thing I really love though about remix packs is like, and I always think of this, and this is why I always say you need a drum and bass remix in every pack. It's because like I see it as like, if I do a house remix, if I do a house original, I don't want house remixes. I want a dubstep remix, a trap remix, a drum and bass, a glitch hop, a trance. I want like different ones so that people in other genres can play my track.
Yeah.
In other genres. So I actually like whenever I have gone to do like remix packs, I always look for diversity within it. I don't want 3 house remixes of my house track.
Yeah.
I feel
that.
It's
I have this like the same ideology in the sense, and whenever I go to do a remix, I will never make it in the same genre that the song's already in.
Yeah.
Just because like I want it to stand out.
Yeah.
And if it's already the same genre, like it's not necessarily going to stand out. Like I did that with the recent Disciple remix competition.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm gonna make some drum and bass. That was my ideology, and then my mind frame behind it. And then I went and actually made it, and then I slowed it down to like 128. And I was like,
that's right, because you did more of a housey sort of like vibe.
It was like a weird bass house kind of tune, and it was funny how that kind of came about too. But yeah,
it's always fun to experiment and try new things.
Definitely need a drum and bass remix in every remix pack.
That's like my one rule. Every remix pack has to have a drum and bass remix. It has to. Like it's sacrilege if it doesn't. Like it's got to. So, well, thanks for coming in, man. Really appreciated the chat, and like I said, I've loved watching how hard you've been working, you and Matt, and the growth with Dub Wubz over the last, period of COVID and that. Like I said at the start, working hard through COVID, a lot of people, maybe not feeling the best, but there's definitely a few people shining through, I think, that are doing a lot of work and really sort of leading from the front and showing other people that, look, you can do things in the industry even when it's like it is. So I think it's good to be able to look to people and go, look, you can do this. Like, it's possible.
Yeah.
You just got to put in the effort and the work and learn, make mistakes, learn from them and go from there. So appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, my pleasure, bro. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
good, brother.
Bloody, it's awesome seeing your progress too over like all these
it's
years.
everyone,
like,
man. It's, everyone's doing cool shit. Like there's so many cool stuff, going on in the scene, which is great for me because then I can talk to everyone.
Right.
So,
ooh, yes.
More people doing cool. So go out and do cool shit so you can come on the podcast. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you check out Dub Wubz, and make sure you check out Kai's stuff. Oh, wait, where do we look at your artist stuff? Give everyone your artist name and how we follow you too, so we can.
Oh well, all right. So yeah, you can find me at TerrorForm. That's SoundCloud, everything again. Basically, just you know, kind of making. I'm kind of. I was making just dubstep. Now I'm kind of branding out into just making what I love.
Whatever, yeah.
Like, because I'm
playing, having fun, experimenting.
Yeah. I'm working on an alias that's going to be just dubstep. I've already kind of gone outside of the box too much in TerrorForm.
Yeah.
That I've built that as its brand. So I kind of
it's a bit of everything, and then you want one that's the pure dubstep.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that the name that you started with when you did your short?
No.
I was wanting to ask this earlier. What was the original name then?
It was King Kai. Like
King
from Dragon
Kai,
Ball Z.
from Dragon Ball Z.
I remember you hitting me up once and being like, "Oh, my mate, like, noticed that we have a similar DJ name. Like, do you mind? Like, these are like quite similar. Like, do you have an issue with like me having King Koi and I was like Boy King Koi?" And I was like, "No, why would I care about that?"
yeah. But it's like even like I always ask people because like I used to have a collaboration project was a breakbeat.
Yeah,
and
nice.
we were called Bacon Beat DJs.
Oh yeah.
And it was a bit of a thing to Martin Horgo, he's from Germany. He used to do breakbeat, and he loves coming to Australia for our bacon because they don't have bacon in Germany. So it was a bit of a like throw to him, like because he's breaks someone we looked up to at the time, and knew like we knew him and stuff. But then there's a DJ Bacon in Brisbane.
Oh really?
And so I messaged him and said, "Hey man, like my name's we're thinking of starting this little duo. It's breakbeat. We want to call it Bacon Beat DJs. Is that cool with you?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, go for it."
Nice,
I think that's important to just, if you know there's someone out there with a similar or same name, at least message them and say,
show that consideration.
Is that all cool, man? Like, there's no drama.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's something I always,
I had to turn away a release for Dub Wubz simply because they had a name of someone who's already a big release artist, like in a different genre. But I was like, sorry, man, like you're gonna have to change your name if you want to release with us. Like, it's a bit of a hard knock to take, like when you do have that, but
that's it.
Just means there's a better name lying out there.
Yeah, that's it. Choose a unique name and then you make it cool.
Yeah,
make your own name cool. So
yeah, exactly right.
That's it. Well, thanks for coming in, man, and check out all the Dub Wubz stuff.
Yeah.
And let's I want to listen to a few tunes.
Stuff if you haven't already.
Yeah. Well, they must be if they've gotten to this part of the show. I'm pretty keen to maybe listen to some tunes if you've got some stuff like we can just listen to in here when we're done.
Yeah, for sure, man.
We'll have a listen.
Yeah, it sounds like a blast.
And yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, bro.
Have a good one, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Give it cheers.